Give me some directions to get to you. To get to you, ain't gonna waste my time. I know that we got connection. I think about you. You're on my mind, on my mind, on my mind. Yeah, I'm going out of my mind, out of my mind, out of my mind. Yeah, for you, my love. You drive me crazy, tell me what to do, what to do. I'm on my knees, yeah, I am begging you, begging you. I'll break the rules if it will get me to, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the 5F's to Love Network. Tonight, I think this is like one of those conversations that we often like to skip around. You know, I grew up in a household where things started to shift and change when I was in high school, and I didn't quite understand why. My dad, those are my parents back there, was diagnosed with diabetes. And at that point, a lot of things changed in our house, the type of food we ate. And it was a big change, not really for me because I didn't eat a lot of meats, but I did kind of miss some of my little fruity cereals, I must say. So we began to divide the cabinets in the house with things that my dad could eat and things that we were going to eat. And at some point, we all just made the transition to just eat the same foods that my dad ate. So tonight, you guys know it's 60 is the new 40. And Gerald is going to talk about his transition with type 2 diabetes, because this is a very important conversation around men's health. And we want our African-American men to understand the importance of what you need to do in order to take care of your body. Folks, just a reminder tonight, this is just Gerald's journey. He is not a medical doctor. Anything that he shares with you tonight is just to kind of give you a glimpse on the changes that he made in his life in order for him to live a healthier life and a longer life. So again, check with your doctor. These are just suggestions and recommendations based on Gerald's journey with type 2 diabetes. So let me introduce the host of 60 is the new 40, Gerald. What's going on?
Hey, how are you? How's everything tonight?
Everything is awesome. I feel like I'm like, like they have the Tonight Show and like they're introducing. I feel like I've become that for you. Like, and here's Gerald.
Okay, I'll take it. That's all right. That's all good. Sounds good.
I'm going to tell you, it's definitely warranted. I think a lot of times, and you and I've talked about this, you didn't start off with diabetes. It was something that happened, a progression over time. And lucky for you, you were already living like a pretty healthy life. But still, even with that being said, it didn't allow for you to even think how to make that transition with your food immediately. Like, you just start making small changes. So before we even get started, folks, I just want to kind of go through his journey so you guys can get a better understanding of how he made that transition. So Gerald, listen, can you share with us your journey after being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes? Like, what did that look like for you?
Well, let me start out when I was first healthy before I was diagnosed. I mean, I'm running around working, had my lawn business. Everything was perfectly fine. Then all of a sudden I noticed I started getting lethargic. And that's where you need to start paying attention. It's like, why am I, not age wise, but all of a sudden, I'm only in my, 40s, late 50, early 50. And I'm realizing, wait a second, why am I getting tired? I work out all the time. I'm energized. So, and then all of a sudden I go to the doctor. Next thing you know, my A1C levels are through the roof. And it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Next thing you know.
You didn't know what that was when they were talking to you about. Okay.
What's so funny you say that? I hear it all the time. I used to hear it all the time. And I'm like, that's not going to apply to me. I work out all the time. I'm fit. You know what I mean? So why would that apply to me? And next thing you know, I'm sitting up here and then I'm diabetic too. Type 2 diabetes. And so, dealing with that. So next thing you know, I need to stop the Doritos. I need to stop the chips and the peanuts and the cereals with high sugar and those type of things. So, so yes, it was a journey for changing that. I love ice cream. It was one of the things that shoot you through the roof. So it was a process, just a question, like you said, my journey was, step by step. I needed to find out what my actual monsters were. For me was bread. So all my bready products, all those things need to go away. So some things I have back behind there are going to be substitutes, for the breads, because I still like to have the breads, but there's substitutes.
So let me ask you a question before, we're going to get into food and all of those things, in segment 3, but talk me through mentally what you had to go through, because when somebody tells you, when you go from being a healthy guy working out every day to now, I'm sorry, you got type 2 diabetes, what was your first thought?
Denial. I was in denial.
Wow.
Like, a lot of my friends, they talk about it, and I have friends now that, are the same position. They were in denial. And I was like, no way, it's me. These guys worked out and trained all the time, so my mindset was like, okay, it's not me. So I kept trying to eat the ice creams. I kept trying to have the chips. I kept trying to do those things, and there wasn't any changes happening. I still was feeling lethargic. I still was getting the tingling. So there was another sign you have to be very careful. I was getting the tingling in my lower, my legs and those areas. So I had to be very, like, what's going on here? So in that journey, I started just cutting back. Slowly but surely, I started changing my palate. Just started changing on the things that I eat and not having those sugar products. And it was tough. It was a process, but it definitely can be done. So now I live a lot healthier now, through that process.
Okay, so when you had that discussion, and thanks for sharing that, when you had that discussion your first time with your doctor, did you immediately think, oh, I have to start shooting myself with a needle? Like, did you go into panic mode? Like, what's happening? Like,
I didn't know what metformin was, you know what I mean? So next thing you know, I'm shooting myself up. Exactly. It's like, okay, I really have to put a needle in me. I'm like, no, that's not happening. It has to be another way. So he's like, no, you're not at that level. Your pancreas still is working. It's still processing. It's just, it just has to be careful of the foods that you're eating. You're just spiking yourself too high, because some people are too low. I'm too high. Mine's always high. So I need to lower mine. So that's why I have to be careful of the things I eat. When you're low, then you can have certain things like the
right,
orange juices and things like that to help bring your levels back up. So yeah, back to your original question was, yeah, I have to shoot myself up. Really? You got to be kidding me. So now, next thing you know, I'm starting to read and study, because it's important to go online and study some things and talk to my a dietitian. So I actually had a dietitian to sit down and talk to me about, what foods to actually eat. There's one thing you can do. You can, lead a horse to water to drink, but again, they have to drink. So I was learning those things, but guess what? I wasn't actually doing them initially. It was a process, and I stayed away from it for a little while. But then when I started changing my lifestyle, whoa, wait a minute, my energy level's coming back. Oh, this is good. This is a good thing. Now, do I cheat every so often? Yeah, of course. You have some things every now and then, but mainly my food is good food all the time.
So let me ask you a question, because see, you just said dietitian. That's not a norm conversation in Black households. So again, we talk about your journey. The first thing was your doctor's telling you you're type 2 diabetic, right? Then you're kind of contemplating whether I'm doing needles or medication, like what's going on with that.
Mm-hmm.
You understand your food is being impacted, but who told you about a dietitian? Was it your doctor?
It was actually my doctor, and believe it or not, my insurance actually paid for it. So you know what? You guys have health insurance and have certain insurance through, insurance companies. Find out if your insurance is going to pay for it, because actually a lot of insurance companies will pay for it because it's a preventive. So anything preventive, just like a gym membership, a lot of times they'll give you discounts for going to the gym for trying to be healthy, because obviously if you're healthy, you're not going to be using your insurance.
Right.
So that's actually what they did, is they actually tied in and said, I had a dietitian. So I had a dietitian actually call me every single week. She called me every single Wednesday. What did you put in your mouth? How did you eat? What was your process for the rest? So I felt a sense of accountability to her, because she was calling me every week. So we went from every week to every 2 weeks. We went from every 2 weeks to every 3 weeks. And then we went once a month. And then now I no longer need to have a call, because I've gotten into this routine now. So that accountability to a dietitian and her throwing different ideas out there for me. So your insurance really actually will cover a lot of that. Just check with your insurance company.
You know what? And I like that you said that, because, and I want people to understand this big picture. When you're talking to an alpha male, and you're telling an alpha male that who's been working out since their teens, something is wrong with you. You've got to understand, for this man to go to a dietitian was huge, and for somebody to tell him what to do. And I say that because as Black men, you guys really don't like anybody telling you what to do, period. And especially when you're in the middle of denial, because you're thinking, I look good. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. Something must be wrong with your machines.
And you've nailed it. I mean, person's like, wait a minute, I look good. I feel fine. I'm healthy, but also when I started feeling lethargic and started, playing around with the grandkids and I didn't have that energy, I knew something was wrong. There was
And you knew it wasn't just your age. You
I
knew
knew
it
it
was
just
something
wasn't my age.
wrong.
Correct, because it happened. I've been for about 15 years now, so I knew it wasn't my age. I was out there running. I was on the treadmill, the Peloton. I was doing all those things perfectly fine. I was still playing softball, but some days I wake up and I'm like, I just don't feel like moving. Something's wrong. Something's going on. And I mentioned earlier about the tingling in your legs.
Mhm.
Be very mindful and careful of that. Those are a lot of signs. And all of a sudden I'm blurry. So a blurry at a distance,
Right.
blurry close up. My eye doctor said that's mainly because I was getting older. But
Right.
at a distance, you're having the blurry vision.
Right.
Those are the signs. Those are the things you need to be paying attention to. Don't tie it to just age. Go
Right.
to your actual doctor. I just went to the eye doctor last week. That's another thing that we can get into and talk about. You need to visit your eye doctor if you're diabetic.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot about the meal prep and
Sure,
a lot about symptoms in
sure,
like segment 2 so people get a better idea.
sure.
But for this, I really want them to understand because again, men who are watching and women who are watching, but really men who are watching, it's a big to do. So what changes have you made in managing your diabetes today versus when you were first diagnosed? At what age were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed, probably, like I said, about 15 years, about 45, by my mid 40s,
So
somewhere around.
you're like in the prime. You're like in prime time.
I'm in prime time. I was definitely in prime time. Like I said, I had the lawn service business. I was out, taking care of the properties and things like that. And next thing you know, wait a minute, what's going on here?
You're
Sweating and all that. I thought I was sweating it out. So I thought maybe I could sweat it out, being
Mhm.
out there in the hot suns and things like that. But that just wasn't working. It wasn't it. Pancreas
I,
wasn't.
I do like that you said that because a lot of Black men and people who watch this podcast often know a lot of my friends are guys. You won't get on my nerves with this. I just have to go to the gym and work it out.
Exactly. Just sweat it out.
What are you doing? And
Sweat
it
it out.
freaks me out. I go, dude, can you just go to the doctor? So, like, last night we were talking about Tim, good guy who's on Real Talk with Men. I
Yes.
talked to him today and he goes, oh, I think I need to go to the doctor. I think you're right. He says, I'm having acid reflux pretty bad and my stomach is really upset. And now, mind you, the day before, he thought going to the gym and working out, sweating it out, like
Of course.
sweating the stuff. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? This is like a whole doctor situation. So now he's going to go. But I say, and I laugh because, again, it's not a funny situation, but I'm comparing you guys because he's in his 50s, you're in your 60s, but still because you guys work out all the time and physically you look like you're healthy, your attitude is, oh, well, nothing can be wrong with me.
It's
I'm
the
good.
it's the denial part, Chris. Like I was saying before, it's that
Yeah.
denial. You need to get past that denial and
Right.
pay attention to the signs and the symptoms that you're having. My attitude was, well, you know what? I want to catch it early.
Mhm.
I don't want it to get worse. Same with any other symptoms. If you're feeling pain there's a reason there's a pain. You
And you
need
need to get it checked out.
you need to get checked out.
All right,
Absolutely.
so you know what? I know for sure you didn't change your food diet right away. So what are you doing different now today? Like give me one big major thing that if a man is diabetic that it took you too long to come to that conclusion, you had to stop doing it.
Remove things from the house. Bottom line, don't have it in the pantries. Don't have it in the house. Try to first and foremost. Second thing is when you're actually going to the store, you need to write down what you need. You need to write the list of things to pick up. Don't go on an empty stomach. Just don't go and winging it because
Right.
you start grabbing just here and there. So actually write it down. Just as an example of I have a grocery list on what I actually need to pick up. These are the things I need to have for, to be healthy and stay healthy. And it actually works. It doesn't work all the time. I mean, periodically I'll grab, some ice cream here and there, but I know I'm going to pay for it if I eat too much of it. Just have just a little bit.
And that's really big. Now the major thing is there are changes that happens to your body when you're diabetic. Now, one of my girlfriends, her husband was diabetic, but he also had high blood pressure.
Correct.
And again, I emphasize this as much as I can as in my African American men. One, please go get your prostate checked out in your 40s. That's number one. Number two, I need you to go get a colonoscopy, upper and lower GI by 45. Don't wait for 50. Okay.
Yeah,
Because those things are important, but also get your blood work done on a regular basis because he became impotent in his late 30s.
and that can definitely happen. And being diabetic can definitely affect those areas as well.
Yeah.
you try to tie that into being older and into your age, and it's actually not that. So you can actually change those things. So actually, I'm going to look at the ladies. If you notice some changes in your man, take him to the doctor.
Take him to the doctor.
It has nothing to do with you personally. Take him to the doctor and get his blood pressure checked. Get his sugar levels checked. You'll be amazed, absolutely amazed when he changes those things. And we'll get into the foods behind you, or what it actually do to your energy level. What did it do to certain things that actually you started losing? You actually start getting those back. And it has to do with your diet. It has to do with the sugar, that's in your body. It has to do with your high blood pressure. And I am truly a witness to that. And I'm not ashamed to tell it.
And Jordan, I love that you said that, because especially in our community, African-American men are so quick. Oh, it's not me, it's you. No. How about it's a us situation? Let us go. You're not on your own.
Right.
And and the thing is, I want men to understand it could work sometimes, but it's not going to work all the time.
Correct.
So let's just be clear when something goes wrong. And he was in his 30s.
Yep.
Now, mind you, they got a divorce. They couldn't make it over that hump. He got remarried. And obviously that person is on top of it, because she wouldn't have married a man who was impotent, right? Mm-hmm. So she went in and they go to the doctor and he's good now. But the thing is, folks, I want to be clear. It goes way beyond sex. If you have diabetes and the diabetes progresses, you can lose limbs.
Yes.
This is so serious in our community. So my thing is that piece of cake worth it? Right? Is that soda worth it? It's not worth it. Let's just cut out all this buffoonery. What we talked the other day, if you have gout.
Absolutely correct. Gout is another sign. That is the number one sign.
Your body is telling you.
Your body is definitely telling you something. You need to do something different. I was talking about the tingling earlier, and that's where it starts. The next thing you know, you're losing a toe. I know people that have lost toes. They lost an actual foot. They lose their legs. They're losing limbs off of this. Believe it or not, that's really happening. So, if you don't want to just listen to us, look it up. Look it up, guys. It's really happening in our community. So, and on top of just being stressed within itself, one of the things we talked about last night, raising your blood pressure. So go get yourself checked out. Mainly what Chris and I are saying right now, go to the doctor, get yourself checked out. There's no harm in that. Get yourself checked out. Yeah, that's all.
It's really not. And Gerald, we're going to take a quick commercial break. But if you're watching us right now, I would like you to just like this podcast. Just hit that little thumbs up button or give us a little heart, right? Because this is Heart Month after all.
It's Heart Healthy Month.
Exactly. It's Heart Healthy Month. And be sure you give us a heart or something out there. Gertrude, we love you. She said, good evening, everyone. Gertrude is our number one from the start of the podcast. Yes,
thank you, Gertrude.
Gertrude, always happy to see you.
He's committed.
I was like, if nobody else is watching, Gertrude is watching. All right, folks, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
My name is Christine Burkett, the inventor of the 5 F's to Love. This is a compatibility app. It's an app that gives you an opportunity to rate words that start with the letter F in chronological order of importance to you, to help you find your one true love, your soulmate, and the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So after you've taken the time to rate your F's in chronological order, you send a link to the person, you just met, or the person you've been dating for quite some time. Or maybe it's the person you've been married to for 30 to 40 to 50 years. And then you compare your top 5 F's to find out what things you have in common and things that you may perhaps need to work on. This is taking a simplistic perspective on how to find your one true love, your soulmate, the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And thank you for downloading the 5 F's app.
Hey guys, welcome back and thank you for tuning in to the 5 F's to Love Podcast Network. Everyone's always asking, what is the 5 F's about? Well, this whole thing got started because of that app. It's just a compatibility app just to see how compatible you are with your husband, your wife, the person you're thinking about dating, the guy that's across the bar checking you out, or the chick that you think might be hot. And it's just an easy way to see if you're compatible. And the top 5 F's are the things that are most important to you. That's why this is called the 5 F's to love. Okay, so everybody's always asking, where did you guys get that name from? Why is it the 5 F's? Precious is watching. Hey, look at Real Talk with the ladies tuning in. What's up, Precious?
Hi,
Look
Precious.
at her.
Thank you.
Oh, Precious, thank you so much, Gerald. You are getting a lot of support here tonight
I
from the
appreciate that.
side. And I think that's great because this is like a serious conversation that we're having, but it's not so serious. I guess because,
It really is. We try to make it fun, but at the same time, it really is.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
is pretty
I didn't take
serious.
it serious initially, just like you were talking about my journey. I did not. I mean,
Yeah.
I worked out hard. I trained. I was body beautiful in my mind, and there was nothing wrong with me. And so again, with that said, what I need to go to the doctor for what? I'm healthy. But like I said again, all of a sudden, when your energy level goes down, you have no reason at 45 years old for your energy level to go down, or you find out, wait a minute, some performance or some things like that are happening. Like, okay, I need to go to the doctor.
Because you were suffering a lot with fatigue.
Yeah.
And so, folks, we're going to share just some quick information so you guys are aware of what happens out there. So right now, diagnosed type 2 diabetes by racial ethnic group as it follows. Asians are 9%, African Americans are 13.2%, Hispanics are 12.8%, and non-Hispanic whites are 7.1%. So this is a wide variation as far as what they look at, but they look at Native Americans as well, and that's 6%, Alaskan Natives, which is 24.1%, and Southern Arizona Native American groups are all combined in there. So the overall people, when you're looking at it, we do have some concerns overall with our health.
Mm-hmm.
And as you see, it's mostly minorities.
Correct.
But one thing I didn't find out until I was trying to help a friend deal with this was that Asian people, that means Chinese people, Japanese people, their body makeup is very similar to African Americans. So I didn't know that. Like, they have high blood pressure, diabetes.
Right.
I was just like, okay. And the more I talked to them, I was looking at natural ways to help my friend's husband, kind of get it under control, and as well as my dad. So those were things that I was really seriously getting involved with, because I was thinking, okay, what if I'm impacted? If my son is impacted, I wanted to know how to manage it. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and we kind of dipped in this already, that you started out with medication and you're not on insulin, right?
Absolutely.
So,
right.
But a lot of people in your same situation, because of the level of type 2 diabetes that they have, they are actually on insulin and not on taking medication.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I know you did, the preventive things that you did, is you start doing meal prep.
Correct.
Which I thought was awesome. Now I know you laugh at me because I pay somebody to do my meal prep. Right?
You're not a cooker.
That's the whole point, and that's what we're getting ready to talk about. So, folks, if you have diabetes and you're not a cooker, that's still not a reason why not to eat good.
Exactly.
So I'm using me as an example of a person who does not know how to cook. You get someone to do your meal prep for you.
Or when you go out, you need to tell them not to add salt or certain things into your food, and let you add those things too. So they
even have heart healthy meals now on menus.
Menus, that's correct. So you need to go in that section, right. And still enjoy life. I mean, you're enjoying life, but you want to stay alive. So go ahead and change your meal.
You already know Big Mama, she used to putting that bacon fat up in them greens.
Exactly.
And all of that. So we talking to all the big mamas out there.
Oh yeah, all that bacon grease sitting up on the stove.
Exactly, because I go in everything. It's basically an ingredient in everything, and especially in our culture, we know when they make a cake, it's lard up in that cake.
Lard up in that cake, exactly.
But those be the best cakes.
But what changed me from that, Chris? It's funny you're saying that. Yeah. Actually, look at that grease when it dries up and what it actually looks like. Think about that. Think about what that actually looks like. That's what's happening in your body. Those are happening.
That's carotid arteries.
That's correct. That's clogging your arteries up over time.
Everywhere.
And you're saying initially when you're in your 20s and your teens, your 20s and 30s, you can get away with that. Some people are affected earlier, like you said, you went from in 30s. But you have to realize you're building it up over time. So when you're hitting those 50s and 60s, you're wondering, okay, what's going on? Because all of a sudden, all that buildup is now clogged your arteries. It's clogged areas. So you need to actually work on cleaning those areas out. Some of the foods that I have back here that we'll get into in segment 3, will help clean those things up too, believe it or not.
So when you start thinking about doing meal prep, and can you kind of share with people your thought process? Like, what were you thinking were good things that you later found out they weren't good? Like, because let me just say this: there's stuff that y'all buy in the store because it say brown rice and organic or something. Y'all be like, "Oh, I'm eating healthy." No, you're not.
You're
So,
not. Not at all.
so I know you went through trial and error,
Right.
and then I also want you to share with us how you manage your food, and then you have grandkids that
Exactly.
you actually take care of, like every weekend, every other weekend, they're with you,
Right.
and you have separate food for them.
I sure do. I mean, I have.
Okay, so
I mean, they still have the little bit of junk, but I still watch their meals too because you
right,
just don't want to start that process. Because a lot of times they think things are hereditary. Well, you know what?
right,
It's only hereditary because you're eating the same things that your family ate. So you're
right,
causing problems with eating the same foods. So be very
right.
mindful of that. So try to start them at young ages. Start having a little bit of celery every now and then. That's perfectly fine. Or if you're having peanut butter, cut back on the sodium in the peanut butter. Not all those things. So again, the processed foods, be very careful. That quick food that's in a container, and all of a sudden it's brown rice. You know what? I'll show that to you later. That's not good for you. So those are the things that you have to be very mindful. Does it take time? Yes, it does. You actually have to sit down, you have to cook it. It's not something that's going to happen 1 minute. So just remember, if you're popping it in a microwave, then you know what? It's not going to be good for you. That macaroni and cheese that was in a small container that you're trying to have. Mm-mm. And it's all those things. So you just start adding those things up over time within your meal preps, and those things are not going to be good for you. Just take your time, sit there, make macaroni and cheese, the old-fashioned way. If you're going to have macaroni and cheese,
Great.
if you're going to have certain things, do it the old-fashioned way, not microwaving it. If you're microwaving it, chances are it's not going to be good for you. The starchy food.
I like that you said that. I don't even have a microwave in my house.
Yeah. See there,
It's gone.
heat it up on the stove. Again, a lot of the things that
Well,
you grab in the
you can use,
container.
like back in the day, we call it a convection oven. Now they call it, an air fryer
Right,
oven,
right,
right?
right.
But we had a convection oven, so I have one of those, and I have the stove and the stove top. But again, I'm not a cooker, but still, that's how, like when I make my sweet potatoes, I put them in the oven, and I let them cook. And then once they cook, folks, I just warm them up in the air fryer and put my little grilled vegetables in it. Now, mind you, I do make that, by the way, every day
Really?
for myself.
I'm impressed.
Gerald, really? Are we live and you're talking about me? You guys got on me last night. Enough is enough, by the way. No, but I had to learn how to make that because when I was getting it made for me, I wanted it fresh. And so when a person makes it for you on Sunday and you may not eat it until Wednesday, it loses its zest. So I said certain things I can do it myself.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what you said. The air fryer is your best friend, and also the crock pot.
Oh, yeah.
So do the crock pot too as well. The crock pot's awesome too. So you want to get away from frying things up, everything greasy and things like that. So substitute it with olive oil, things like that. So be very mindful of all that grease that you're adding to it. So the crock pot is good for you. The air fryer, those are perfect little things for you. So put that on your Christmas list for somebody to get you an air fryer.
Gerald, I'm putting that on my Christmas list.
You said you had one.
I want a different one. Gertrude said my grandson only likes homemade macaroni and cheese.
There you go. Exactly.
Gertrude, you keep him on it, honey. Now that's one thing, and I'll be honest, I don't have diabetes or high blood pressure or anything like that, but I do have another illness that I deal with that I cannot eat. A lot of the similar things that you can't eat. I can't process bread. I haven't eaten anything fried in years. And trust me, I love a fried chicken.
Nothing like it.
If I can get just a fried little chicken breast or a little wing on it, I smell it, but I know once I eat it, I can't process it. And so Gertrude said, homemade food tastes wonderful when cooked right. It does.
You're absolutely correct. But just be careful, the little bit of pinches here and pinches there. Just be careful adding sugar to things. Because a lot of times with the homemade foods, a lot of times you make it taste good simply because you added that extra sugar in there. So just be very mindful of that. Maybe if any sugar, maybe brown sugar, or add honey to it. It's a little bit more natural sugar.
I do that a lot.
Do the honey, right. Do the honey thing to add a natural sugar, not an abundance of it, because honey can still raise it, but just add honey in replace of.
I'm going to tell you, my girlfriend Kim has me buying this expensive honeycomb honey, but it is like right from the honeycomb.
Right.
And it's so good. But the thing is, I don't need that much of it to sweeten anything. And honestly, I don't use salt. I don't use pepper. I don't even have sugar in my house.
Good.
So again, I was already ready, I think, to be 50 because there were things I wasn't doing. I was already practicing.
My sugar's high in the cabinet behind me. It's way up top. It's not a.
Well, I mean, you got little people.
I have little
so
people. That's what I'm saying. 'Cause I have little people.
Yeah.
You know, we'll grab that, or they'll jump up on the counter to go get it. But I just keep it out of sight, out of mind. But sugar, I really don't even touch. And I know how bad it is for you. I just like cigarette. I don't even touch that stuff.
So you know what, Gerald? We're going to share with people. You were talking about symptoms, right?
Yes. You know,
and we're going to talk about.
Yep.
More thirst, more hungry, the dry mouth, the fatigue, and you're weak, nausea, and occasional vomiting, of frequent urination, blurred vision, numbness, and tingling of the hands and feet, and frequent infections of the skin and urinary tract.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you? I had every single one of them. Pop that back up there for a second.
Are you kidding me? You had every single one of those?
I had every single one that you mentioned right here. Every single one of them. Yep.
Wow.
Every single one of them. I sure did. And I was in denial because at times it didn't happen all the time at the same time, but it happened frequently. Just, you know, like I said, again, I'm out working hard. You know, you just thought, you know, okay, I'm just tired from working hard. Or that's why my mouth's dry because I'm out here in the hot sun or whatever. And I'm fatigued because I'm working, you know, all the, 80 hours a week or whatever. So, occasionally, didn't do the vomiting as much, but I did do that before. Oh man.
Are you kidding me?
The frequent urination, that ruins your sleep at night. Trust me, guys. If you're getting up more than 2 or 3 times a night, there's a problem. There's a problem. If you're getting up going, and that's ruining your sleep, that's breaking your sleep. So you need to pay attention to that. So if you're going 2 or 3 times a night, there's a problem with that. So you need to definitely get it checked out. That's definitely a sign.
Okay, but folks, let's just keep in mind this too. I drink a gallon of water, so I do get up and go.
But you need to cut it off at a certain time, Chris.
Right, but I'm still drinking it.
Right, that's the thing. You don't need to be having it at 9 o'clock at night. You don't still need to be drinking.
I'm like still turning up that jug because I drink it right out of the gallon thing. I do.
Right, but you need to cut it off at 7 o'clock. You need to cut off 6, 7 o'clock. If you've had it all day, you're perfectly fine. So just be very mindful of that. Be mindful of how late you're having. The same way with eating your carbs, and we'll get into that in the next segment about when to eat these actual foods. Because there is a time when you should be eating them, and there's a time you should not be eating them. So that's definitely an important part.
Well, folks, we're getting ready. We're going into segment number 3, and we're getting ready to talk about all that delicious food. I miss Doritos. I see them back there. All I can say is I miss those ranch Doritos. Not those. If you have ranch, I would be like, Gerald, put them in a bag and send them to me. Those ranch Doritos. Folks, we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
It's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
I need it all. Do you want it though? Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call in my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merch. 6 figures was a goal, now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, not swerve. No time for the snakes, time to put them in the dirt. That's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, I don't know it's bleed. I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call in my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. And through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah,
same circle, still the same gang. We just get to it, we don't gang bang. Lost some friends to the same thing. Keep a low pro when we
Hey guys, welcome back to the 5Fs to Love Network. Guys are watching 60s Unique 40, and you see Gerald Robinson is here. So I guess you like, where is Gerald? He is back there behind all of that food. So we're going to hit that food because this is our segment. We're talking about food. Before we get started, of course, Gertrude is like, I don't use sugar because I was overweight due to my sugar was a little high, but I lost 25 pounds. My mindset had to change. I was living in a lot of chaos. Woo! I am happy now.
You know,
all
Gertrude,
I gotta say is go, Gertrude.
Gertrude, it's funny you stole my thunder because I was going to mention that part too. Because everything we mentioned, we never talked about weight loss. You know,
Yes.
that's we'll get into that because you just mentioned that because I lost 25, 30 pounds myself. You know, through changing, and it made a difference. Yeah, I was a big fellow. You know, working out and trying to stay rock hard and muscular and all that. Cut my weight back. Just through eating properly. It wasn't even considered like a diet. Wasn't out there running and jogging all the time, just cutting my meals back, eating properly. So
Wow.
Gertrude, thank you for that.
Gertrude, I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of people, they don't understand what they put in their bodies. And the fact that if you're putting all this stuff in and you're not working out, it is a big to do. And I'm going to tell you, I look so much better in the spring, summer, because I'm out walking every day. My lunch, I just walk for my lunch every day. And my body is so toned. But what happens is people say, well, get a treadmill. I have a running board, not a treadmill. A running board is just, the floor moves. It's a floor that just moves and you can make it move faster. It has no arm rails on it and I can just run on it, but it's not the same as being outside. I have a bike. I have a punching bag. I got everything I need right here to make the magic happen. But the magic doesn't happen on its own.
But you notice what you said, Chris. Find out what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people sitting there saying, "I don't want to do that type of stuff." Well, find your niche. Find the thing that's actually your niche. I mean, I like getting up and after a meal, go take a walk in it, so I can check things out in the neighborhood. Period, and I'm getting my walk.
So, Joe, I just want to say you didn't even notice I had remember last time you were clowning me because I didn't have my workout clothes on. I have workout clothes on today.
Yeah, but we're not in the gym tonight, Chris.
That's not the point. I need.
It's not.
I don't get points for this.
No, you don't get points for that. Wait till we get into the gym. I think that's next week, isn't it?
All right, I'm gonna rewear this outfit again.
Next week we're gonna be in the gym. All right. So
okay, Gertrude said, congratulations, Gerald. She said, I feel so much better due to me actually loving myself. Gertrude, that is the key, everybody. You got to love yourself.
It definitely, and it goes back to a mindset. It's like you said, love yourself. You want to stay around. One of my biggest things initially was I want to stay around for the grandkids, and I want to watch my grandkids graduate from high school. I want to watch them get married. I want to see those kind of things. And then when Donna came into my life, then obviously I want to be around for her.
But Gerald, I'm sorry, can we shout out who Donna is? Because I'm shouting her out every week. She's my associate producer in Delaware, but she's Gerald's.
Beyonce. That's right.
Say it again.
Beyonce, soon to be wife in April.
Soon to be wife. So basically, Donna's the wife to me. I don't know about the fiance thing. Donna's the wife. We're just waiting on that whole piece of paper thing to happen in April. Donna's the wife. So basically, I just call Donna the wife, and she's my associate producer, which I love. I could not do this with Gerald without Donna. I just want to be clear. I love Donna.
And I'm gonna give her a shout out. She set it all up for me, so I didn't do this.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say, folks. Understand this. This setup, and let's zoom out. It's all Donna. So Donna, thumbs up. We love you. Forget Gerald. I love you. You're a great associate producer. Okay, so Gerald, listen. I want us to get right in here because there's a lot that we need to cover. So let's talk about food.
Definitely.
I really want to get in and talk about food, but specifically, can you share with me what foods you switched out to get the diabetes under control? So I'm going to zoom in so as you're sharing things, people can see it.
Right.
All right. So can you talk to me about some of the changes that you made specifically?
Okay, let's start with breakfast. Let's start right.
Okay, I got to move. I got to zoom out.
I'll pick it up. Let's start from breakfast. You know, these
Okay.
are breakfast cereals I used to have. You know, have those real quick and already sweetened.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I was a big shredded wheat person, but frosted shredded wheats with a bunch of sugar already on it, packed on it already.
All right. So wait. Those are the things that you used to eat.
Those are the things I used to eat. Correct. Now let's shift over here.
Okay, wait. Can we go back to what you used to eat?
Sure. Breakfast again. Real quick.
So a lot of people are eating the shredded wheats and they think it's okay.
The frosted shredded wheats, remember? I said the frosted has a bunch of sugar already added on it. So those are the things you have to be mindful of. You know, I switched over from that. And
okay, well, I eat those honey bunches of oats. I eat those bunches of oats.
Yeah, but you have to read honey bunches of oats has how many grams of sugar on it? 9 grams of sugar for 1 cup. And you're probably having 3 cups of it that's filling the bowl up. So
wow.
44 grams.
That does make a difference. And so now you're eating the heart healthy Cheerios.
That's correct. So you switch over to the heart healthy Cheerios. You know,
okay.
Heart healthy Cheerios, 1 gram of sugar.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Shredded wheat, 0 grams.
With no frosting.
But with no frosting, that's correct. But I know you're probably saying, well, that's a little bland. Well, that's what my berries are for. You know what I mean? So you got the blackberries.
Okay, so you add the berries and some other things to the shredded.
Absolutely correct. So now I substitute and add these things, which are good for you. You know what I mean? So these are things that help you with your sugar levels too as well. So you add this to here. It takes the place of this sugar.
You know what, Gerald? I'm going to tell you, I love those berries. I love blueberries, blackberries. Sure. I just love the berries. I just eat them just religiously. And Gertrude says she's so much happy news tonight. Gertrude, we're trying to make sure that our culture is focused on eating healthier and eating better. Exactly. And so I'll be honest with you guys, when Gerald and I think about shows, we really focus on him as an individual to kind of share his journey, because when you see men that look like him, you just assume that they're just healthy inside and out.
Right.
And a lot of times they're not. And when he found out he wasn't, it was a big change, a shift he had to go through. And we just want to really make sure that our Black men are healthy and our Black women are healthy. This is so important. We got to stop putting the bad stuff in and know that there's a better way. Now, I'm going to tell you that whole container that Donna, the associate producer, your wife, put together, I will eat everything in that fresh fruit and vegetable bucket.
Which is
so
okay.
That's where you eat from mostly, in that space?
That, but moderation too as well. So just be very careful with that.
Okay.
Too much of anything is not good. So it's just moderation, just little snacks and little things that's to have around. So you're talking about prepping your food up. So just prep it up. You know, so cut these strawberries up and have those in a bowl. Don't add sugar again to that, because that's back in the day. We still
can I add some whipped cream on there?
You can add a little bit of whipped cream, sure.
The fat-free?
Yeah, the fat-free whipped cream.
Ooh, so y'all better go ahead and get that.
You know what I mean? So, you know, things like that, and like I said, the berries, or mix it up in a smoothie. You know, we talked about that before, so you can mix those things up in a smoothie. You know, when a Greek yogurt, use a Greek yogurt to mix it up together. So, or almond.
You know what I do? I get a wine glass and I put like the berries and fruit at the bottom. Then I put a layer of Greek yogurt. Then I make my own fruit parfait. And that's like a healthy dessert.
Absolutely correct. Exactly.
I love those.
So that's what Chris and I were trying to take. Just shift some things. That's all. Just shift a little bit. Just shift your diet every now and then. You know, make sure you have breakfast. You know, don't skip meals. You know, that's one of the things that people do. I don't have breakfast. Don't skip meals, because when you have lunch, you're just going to throw a bunch of stuff in you. Or before lunchtime, you're going to grab those Doritos. You're going to grab chips just to put something in your body. These are the worst things you can throw in. They have no nutritional value at all. Zero.
So, Joe, go over the antioxidants. And I know, by the way, folks, he's got cheat sheets back there because we want to make sure we share the right information. So, Gerald, I know you don't have your glasses on. Grab that. Don't fool with it. Don't fool with it, Gerald, because Donna wrote it out real nice. I love Donna. Donna hit it. We want to make sure.
You didn't have to tell on me, Chris. Come on.
I'm telling, because you wear glasses. And we're going to stop playing. You look, hold it up so you can read it and get this out because we need to know. What did she say about what's in that bowl? What she
Oh
say?
my goodness, that's funny you say that. So obviously, I'm just gonna carry my way. So stop that. So the fruits you need to have. All right, so you're not gonna put me on the spot that way. So again, here we go with the fruits. I mean, these are definitely gonna help cleanse you. It takes care of the sugar. These are natural.
Okay.
So they're sweet, but they're natural sugars.
Okay.
So just be very mindful of that. Sweet potatoes. I know people are like, "Well, you can sweet potatoes." Well, that's a natural sugar that actually they say diabetics can have, and it's fine because they burn off really fast. It's a sugar that burns off fast.
But don't turn it into a sweet potato pie.
Sweet potato pie. There's other things added into a sweet potato.
Right, because people take that sweet potato and add sugar, butter, cinnamon. Don't do all that.
Those extra things that you just mentioned there, that's what you don't want to have. You know what I mean?
Don't do that.
You know what I mean? You're running over to this where they're actually putting butter and sugar and all that other stuff into it. No, you just simply want to have this. These are the things that are good for you. Like I said, the broccolis too as well. You know, I like to steam the broccolis as opposed to boiling them, so that way it keeps the nutritional value in it. So try to steam those type of things. Same with the tomatoes. And that just part that goes with your salad. These things are going to help cleanse. They'll help actually your insides, your arteries and stuff. It actually helps cleanse your arteries over time. Believe it or not,
it does.
Foods, it kind of helps cleanse those things.
The broccoli, asparagus.
Yeah, my arteries were blocked. I had a 50% blockage in my arteries. They didn't do a step. They told me I needed to change my diet, change some things.
Wow.
So guess what? That hurt my energy level too as well. Now all of a sudden, my energy level's through the roof. You hear me now? I'm all pumped up. Here it is. 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and I'm still wired. I had no nap.
And this is after a work day.
Right after a full work day, exactly. So again, this is what I'm talking about as far as energy level. My energy level is through the roof now. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I've had a nap back in the day. I've always had a nap between 2 and 3 o'clock, always. And I was wondering, why am I napping all the time? Why do I feel I need to take a nap? Well, guess what? That's because, again, my sugar levels were high. And I didn't know it. I just thought I needed to take a nap. I thought, again, as you mentioned before, I thought it was a black thing. I thought every time I eat, the brother got to sit back and take a nap. I eat every time. Well, if you eat a bunch of sugar, if you eat a bunch of lard and Crisco and all those kind of things, guess what? Everybody's going to need a nap. We were talking about earlier, the processed foods,
Yeah. Every black household in America, I think.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
Hot dogs and bacon. Because
Exactly.
that's an easy meal to give to your kids. You can throw one in your mouth.
You think this is a quick meal to grab something real quick and go off?
Meat.
Processed meat. Processed meat. Believe it or not, guys, the first thing you can have is processed meat.
It was so funny because Julian came home one day in middle school and he says, "Mom, processed meat gives you cancer. I don't want any more cold cut sandwiches." And I was just like, okay, what am I supposed to make you for lunch? I had to come up with a whole new game plan over that.
Right. Remember earlier I was talking about a substitute like pita bread. I like these.
Yes.
These are actually really very, very good for you. Let me just read on the back of what it has. It has 0.05 saturated fat. Saturated fat, as you know, is not good for you. So carbohydrates is 7 grams. So you're having that earlier. You're going to burn those carbs off. 0 sugar. And guess what? 2 grams of protein, guys. Protein is good for you. Yes, believe it or not. So you can actually substitute bread with things like this right here.
So you can make a nice little peanut butter sandwich with the pita bread. You just take one and just cut it in half.
Absolutely correct. So you don't have to take bread totally out of your meals. Right. Add the pita bread to it. Those are the things that with cooking. Out of your olive oil, or if you're going to cook, add your olive oil. But be very careful, don't burn it because olive oil burns. So be careful when if you're frying with it or something. If you're actually making your salmon, because I'm real big with making the salmon. So that's those omegas. You want to get that omegas in you for the fish, but don't turn it.
Omega-3s are necessary, everybody.
Totally necessary. You got to have the omega-3s. Make sure you don't turn the fire up very high because you'll actually burn it.
Gerald, we have to go back because your associate producer said that we have to tell everybody how beautiful your skin is because of the way you eat. I don't want to leave that out.
My skin did obviously change. It really did. My skin changed. My eyes, everything. Where my eyes were looking bloodshot. I felt like, again, it's back to being tired. And so those things started clearing up. I was wondering, okay, what's going on here? That's simply because I started changing my diet. And just realize, folks, is when you put these things in your body, it's the very thing they used to say, you are what you eat. That is the absolute God honest truth. You are what you eat. So you got to be very mindful of that, the things you're actually putting in your body and make those changes. Especially when you're getting older, you're getting my age, guys, you got to make some changes. You're trying to stay around for your family. I mean, again, I'm trying to stay around for the grandkids. I'm trying to stay around for Donna. I don't want to have that major heart attack, because a lot of people don't realize, with high sugar levels and high blood pressure levels, it's a solid killer. And
Right.
you're not gonna, you have no idea. Then all of a sudden, boom, it hits you, and you wonder, why is this person having a stroke? They look healthy. They look perfectly fine. It's simply, it's a solid killer. So be very mindful of that. I've had too many classmates that's already passed away, because of things like this, or they've lost limbs. So be very mindful of
And that is so true. I think that a lot of people don't understand. My dad had prostate cancer, and he had open heart surgery. When he had open heart surgery, the cancer spread. And it was devastating because we had gotten the diabetes under control, and here he had open heart surgery and the cancer spread. And guess what he died of?
What's that?
Heart attack.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah. And it was, we saw him on a Wednesday, and literally we get a call 3 days later, he's gone.
So with
Just
that,
on.
Yep. So with that said, that's the very thing I was talking about. It's a solid.
It's silent.
Folks are very mindful of that thing. And what I mentioned earlier in the show, you get little pains here and there. Go get those things checked out. There's a reason for that. And as you get older, again, you have that buildup. So just get yourself checked out. I think I mentioned it last time. Who went to the doctor last time? I was asking about 4 weeks ago. If somebody
You did, and you told people to tell you.
That was actually their assignment, is somebody who went to the doctor.
Who went to the doctor?
So if you're watching this, please, give a thumbs up or send a message down and let us know that, I went to the doctor. I went and got myself checked out. Or, a spouse, I'm talking about man or wife, whoever your partner is, who did you take them to the doctor? Make that.
Listen, folks, this is real talk. Go to a clinic.
Go to a clinic. Absolutely correct.
Just go. Don't worry about if you got good insurance. Just go to the free clinic. It's a lot of stuff you can get through Medicaid, Medicare, AARP. Correct. If you're old enough. I finally got my card. I'm not ashamed. I use it.
I just mentioned I went to the eye doctor. We were talking about that earlier. The only reason I went was Donna made the appointment.
See?
So there you go. The appointment was made for me, and I showed up for the appointment. I found out, obviously my retina, those things are perfectly fine. Right. Behind your eyes, you need to actually check that. There's a certain nerve, certain things that happen behind your eyes when you're diabetic. The doctor told me, obviously, thank God I don't have any issues. He said, but if you have the issues behind your eyes, then it's spread throughout your body. I never knew.
And that's really huge. And Gerald, before we end this segment, you got some grits over there, some oatmeal over there by the shredded wheat. That's a good thing to have, because I got that in my pantry.
Oatmeal is a very good thing to have for you.
Okay. Not the instant oatmeal though. Not the instant.
It's just fine. It's just perfectly fine.
Because sometimes I'm at work, I need that instant.
Not the ones in the bag. We're talking about the quick oats rolled in the bag with the sugar in them. No, that's not good for you. So see, look at it.
Well, folks, don't listen to me. I'm still doing raisin. I'm doing raisin and nuts oatmeal instance.
This goes on the stove. You put this on the stove. You actually cook this. Not those little baggies that you put in a little bit of water and throw in the microwave. Again, back to the microwave thing. So also, again,
I do cook it on the stovetop.
We're adding our fruits to this too as well.
Okay.
So everything I mentioned here, you're just kind of tying those things in together.
Okay, but what's on the bad side that we can't have?
Well, obviously we get into the spaghettis.
Okay.
Those things build up sugar. If you don't burn it, it's going to turn into fat. Okay. It's going to build up your sugar. So watch your sauces.
So even the sauce that you put on the spaghetti?
Even your sauces too as well. Exactly. Be careful of that.
What else you got?
Your bagels. Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves a bagel. They put cream cheese and all those things on it. Are they wonderful? Yes. Are they bad for you? Yes.
I used to make bacon, egg, cheese bagels every day for Julian to go to school.
High in fructose. That's when you want to make sure you pay attention to.
Ooh, is that jelly?
Jellies and stuff. Exactly right. And read on the back of high in fructose. Well, fructose is sugar. It's going straight to your system, guys. Is it good? Yes. Or is it good for you? No. So be very mindful of that. Sorry, Coke, but you know what? You're out of here. You know what I mean?
My gosh. I don't drink
straight to the grandkids. Those guys can have those occasionally. And you notice I have the miniature ones too as well.
And by the way, they do have a Coke Zero and a Diet Coke or something, but you still need to water that down. Like,
Absolutely
even
correct.
though it says Diet or Coke Zero, I know because a friend of mine is diabetic. They have it, but they water it down.
Remember, I mentioned to you earlier about these brown rice, right? Good for me, huh?
Okay, let's see. We got to do a close up. Okay, wow.
Not
Yeah,
good, not good for you at all because you got a microwave.
not good for you.
It's processed, right? So anything processed is not going to be good for you. So you think, no, this is what you want right here, the slow cook. So
Wow.
guess what? They're both brown rice, but you think it's going to be good for you? No, not at all. So you got
And
to
even though eggs are $8 a gallon, I mean $8 a pack.
12, right? A dozen, but look at them. Have your eggs, your boiled eggs. Those are good throughout the day. That's
Even though it's $8 a gallon, sorry, a dozen.
but I take the yolk out. I don't
Uh-huh.
want the cholesterol, so I take the yolk out personally.
So you boil them?
So I boil those. That's correct. So I boil those.
Okay.
I actually take the yolk out of them. You know what I mean? So I have them that way, and it's expensive, but just be
Right.
mindful. Don't do it all the time. Just
I'm going to tell you,
what's that?
I just, I'm very impressed. And also Gertrude is loving everything that you're saying. She's cracking up laughing at you, by the way. She also said, I had my checkup recently.
There
And
you go.
Gertrude, thanks for that, because guys, we got to get in. We got to get ourselves checked up. Folks, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, Gerald is going to go through what his recommendations are if you are African-American male and you're struggling with the idea of you having diabetes, high blood pressure, anything wrong with you, what you need to do. And I already know what he's going to say. All of us knows what he's going to say. It's going to start with go to, and I'll let him finish it when we get back after this quick commercial break. Hey, if you're watching this in the replay and you're not watching it live, we would really appreciate if you could subscribe to our channel. We want to make sure that you get all the latest updates and notifications whenever we have a show that goes live. And of course, we love to hear from our viewers. Of course, we have our viewer who's been with us since day one, which is Gertrude. And Gertrude says, sorry, today I had a cinnamon raisin bagel toasted with a little butter. I had a taste for this morning. Been a long since she's ate one of these. Gertrude, that's okay. You can get a cheat day in.
Yes, you can get a cheat day in. It's perfectly fine.
Get it in, Gertrude.
You're allowed
You
to have
good.
cheat days. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. But the important part she said in there, she felt guilty. She felt bad about that.
She did.
Yeah, so you want to get to the point where you're feeling bad about actually doing that.
So folks, I want to be clear. I do feel guilty that I'm drinking this wine right now.
One thing that I failed to mention, Chris, earlier, about, when we were talking about all this, if you're not, and this is real talk, so this is grown-up talk right here. If you're not having regular bowel movements, guys, that's a problem. All right, you need to cleanse yourself because a lot of these things will help with your system, and you being regular. So we really need to work on your system being regular. So if you're not having regular bowel movements, you really need to get yourself checked out and find out. And believe it or not, these foods will actually change that. You know what I mean? So you're not having, these type of things that I have on this tray here will actually start cleansing you. All the fibers and stuff will start getting things moving. So if things aren't moving, you really need to start getting things checked out. Definitely. So again,
I like that.
At the beginning, right. At the end of that, go to the doctor.
I already knew you were going to say that. So Gerald, I'm going to ask you, is exercise vital to managing diabetes?
I feel that it is, definitely. You definitely need exercise and weight loss. You definitely need to do that. Gertrude.
So for you, it definitely was.
Well, yeah. Gertrude was a testament to that. She just mentioned that. She lost 25 pounds.
She found sugar.
Sugar. She felt great. Well, think about sugar. Just pour sugar and don't stir it up and watch what it does. It just sits at the bottom. And that's the very thing that happens in your body. And again, I talk about that buildup. So over time, that stuff is building up in your body. So be very mindful of that. And you wonder why your intestines are bound up and stuff. Your intestines are sitting here, small intestines, large intestines are holding those bowels. You need to get that cleansed. You need to be cleansing yourself. You need to be cleansing, with
and drink a lot of water too.
Drink a lot of water too as well. Some people need that food though. They need these type of things, that roughage. My doctor told me my plate has to have green on it every time I eat. It needs to be green, full of green. I need to have those green vegetables every time I eat. And it truly has made a difference. Again, I can sit here and I feel like doing jumping jacks right now. Like I said, again, it's almost 9:00 at night. I had so much energy.
Okay, but don't make me feel bad. I don't feel like doing jumping jacks right now.
Yeah, but my whole point of that is that my energy level is going through the roof. It really is.
Okay, when you get off, you can do jumping jacks when you get off.
I'll do a couple.
All right, so listen, what right now, understanding diabetes impacted your life overall in your body. Can you share with us some of the key things that you would tell someone in bullets? What do they need to do? And I know you're going to start off with go to your doctor. Then after that, what are your suggestions? Like, go ahead and hit your bullets.
Consult your doctor. Second of all is write a list. Write a list down on the foods that you're gonna start purchasing. Well, first and foremost, let me back up here. Go through your cabinets and start getting rid of stuff. Let's do that. Let's get it out the house. So start cleaning the house out. So you're always sweeping the floor and vacuuming. You know what? You need to go through your cabinets too as well. So you need to go through your cabinets, canned goods and things like that. Get rid of all those canned goods. That stuff is not good for you. You need to try to do fresh things. You have to remember that's all stuff processed, sitting there so it can last. So it has all these additives into it. So let's do that first and foremost. So we start there. We went doctor. We're cleaning out our cabinets. So now let's write a list and let's replenish the cabinets. So let's work on replenishing the cabinets. So write yourself a list down on things. Now it's going to be trial and error. I definitely need to put that out there for you. Some things you can have, some things you can't. You just need to find out what your monster is. Everybody's body is different. Some people are 5'5", some people are 6'5". Everybody's different. We have different heights. So some things are going to be affecting certain people differently. So I found out what works for me. I found out the things I can and cannot have. That's trial and error. Did that take some time? Yes, it did. But start the process. My whole thing is start the process. Please start the process. And the first thing is doctor. Second thing, clean your cabinets out. Third thing is write a list of what you're going to actually start having in your household. The fourth thing, start walking. Put some type of exercising regimen in your lifestyle. Like I said, take a walk. I have the Peloton bike here in the house. I have the treadmill. But a nice walk outside. The wintertime, you can get lazy. Right now, it's a little chilly out, but it's starting to warm up. Start to get out or join a gym. You know what I mean? There's gym's $10 a month or whatever. Is $10 worth your life? Yeah, of course it is. So spend that $10. So I would add that. The fourth thing is just make sure you're doing that. And the fifth thing, get rest. You definitely need to rest your body. You just need to take the time to get a good night's sleep. 6 hours is not enough. You need 8 hours or more. You definitely need to do that. Did I have that issue? Yes, I did. But I sleep better now too as well. Get all those anxieties, all those things out of you. And again, get some sleep and get some rest. And again, there you go. That would be my ideal thing to do. That's where you need to start.
I like that. And folks, I'm going to say when you clean out your cabinets, give your food to homeless people, to homeless shelters. Just don't throw the food out.
Throw it away, of course.
There are people who need it. So I just everybody think about that. Gerald, I just want to say thank you so much for just sharing this information.
Sure.
It's so important. Again, folks, I know you guys probably think, Christine covers so many things, but I want to say this was so important to me because I understood his journey, but I also understood the journey of my dad. Yeah. And as African-American men, we tend to brush things off. And my dad was married, so my mom stayed on top of him. But just think about how many guys are not married and have diabetes, and they're just kind of like eating out every night. You know, they're just not exercising. It's a lot of stuff going on. So folks, reach out to them and give them support. Gerald, you know, I let you close out your show every week. I'm dipping out. And I just want to say it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you being so upfront and honest about it. Folks, if you're watching, be sure to like us, give us a thumbs up, heart us, and subscribe. It's free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're also on Amazon Music. We're on iHeartRadio, Anchor, and I know I'm missing one of them, but we're on all podcast platforms. So just check us out, subscribe to those, and those are also free. And listen to us while you're driving or working out. All right, Gerald, I'll see you next week. And thanks again for joining me here on the 5F's to Love Network.
Thanks. First of all, love yourself. Take care of yourself, please. It's definitely something that you want to do for your loved ones. Loved ones, also take your family members to the doctor. You know, help them with this journey. It's not always easy. You know, so be that loving person to help them get through the journey. You know, it's tough out here, but like I said, with all these snacks that you have out here and it tastes good and all the things that we did with barbecuing and barbecue sauce that, you know, that we do in our community, just cut back on some of those things. You don't need to have them, you know, every single weekend. I'm not saying you shouldn't have them, but just be very mindful of your medical conditions. Go see the doctor. Again, make that appointment for that loved one. You know, go with them on that appointment. Just help them with the journey. Hold their hands if necessary. So definitely do that, please. And again, can I get a thumbs up? Can I get, you know, that I went to the doctor, you know, send a message out, go in the DM and just say, you know what, I did that. You know, I would really appreciate that. All right. Do that for me. God bless you and have a good night.